Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Other Side. My name is John, and the stories you're about to hear come from real people, listeners like you, who have experienced the unexplained. Strange encounters in the woods, shadowy figures watching them from the darkness, things that probably shouldn't exist, but somehow do. If you've ever seen something you couldn't explain, something lurking just beyond the edges of reality, I would love to hear it. Submit your story by email or shoot me a message on X, and maybe next time it'll be your voice echoing throughout the night, or my voice reading your story. Either way, let's jump into the very first email that my wife has jokingly named the Foggy Creek Encounter after the Boggy Creek Encounter. Hi, The Other Side. I just found your channel through your Hat Man video, and I wanted to share an experience I had a few years back while camping alone in the Daniel Boone National Forest. I don't tell this story often, mostly because people either don't believe me, or they say I must have been imagining things. But I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. It was early October, and the air had that crisp, damp chill that comes right before winter sets in. I had hiked about 5 miles off trail, deep into the forest to a spot by a small creek where I planned to set up camp for the night. It was quiet, peaceful, just the way I like it. I got a fire going and cooked some food, and then I settled in to enjoy the quiet solitude there is in the forest. That's when things started to feel off. The first thing I noticed was the silence. If you spend enough time alone in the woods, you learn to recognize the normal sounds. The rustling of leaves, the hooting of distant owls, the occasional snap of a twig from a deer moving through the brush. But this was dead silent. No wind, no crickets, nothing. I remember thinking it was strange, but I pushed that thought aside and focused on the fire. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate footsteps, and they were just beyond the tree line where the firelight couldn't reach. At first I assumed it was a bear, but as I listened closer I realized something was different. Bears move in a sort of shuffling gait. Their steps are uneven. Whatever this was, it was walking on 2 feet, and it was taking slow, purposeful steps. That's when the smell hit me. It was something rancid, like wet dog mixed with rotten meat. I grabbed my flashlight and I aimed it toward the noise, and that's when I saw them. 2 glowing red eyes, staring back at me from about 8 feet off the ground. They didn't blink, they didn't move. They just watched me. I don't know how long I stood there. I was frozen. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. Then out of nowhere, it let out a scream. Not a human scream, not an animal call either. Something entirely different. It was so loud that my ears rang and my entire body locked up with fear. I don't remember deciding to move. 1 second I was completely frozen in place, and the next I was shoving my gear into my pack as fast as I could. I didn't even put the fire out. I just ended up grabbing the stuff right next to me and I started running back through the woods. I never think I moved that fast in my life. The worst part, I could hear it follow me. It wasn't close, but it was close enough. Every so often I heard a branch snap or a leaf crunch behind me. I was keeping pace, trying to stay just out of sight, making sure I got out of the woods. I didn't stop. I didn't even turn around. I went until I saw my truck. I threw my gear in the bed, and I peeled out of there without even buckling my seatbelt. I don't know what I saw that night. Maybe it was some kind of animal I've never encountered before. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. But I do know this. I haven't been back to that part of the forest since, and I don't plan to. Thank you for letting me share my story, and if you have any idea of what this is, please let me know. Well, you didn't tell me if I could use your name, so I'm not going to, but as a person that posts things on the internet that's related to the paranormal, I'm just going to go ahead and give myself the title of expert because that's what most people do anyway, and it is my expert opinion. As somebody who grew up near the Daniel Boone National Forest, and I heard all the folklore growing up, that is a Sasquatch encounter. That's what it sounds like to me. If you are interested in stuff like that, there's a bunch of Kentucky Bigfoot books by a guy named Barton Nunnally. I highly recommend you check those out if you've never heard of anything related to Kentucky Bigfoot. It's a really good introduction. That's all I really have to say, because I can guarantee you I would have done the Scooby-Doo run if I saw what you saw. My feet wouldn't have touched the ground for a couple seconds, and then I would have been gone, and the only thing that would have been left is the smell of me pooping my pants, because I wouldn't have been there. This next story was sent to me as a text message from a friend of the show. They started listening to the podcast. They got very interested, and somebody I know gave them my number so they could share some stories with me, and we've been talking back and forth. The Backyard Visitor. My grandpa always said that something big used to come up to our house at night when he was a kid. He lived way out in the Appalachian hills, and one evening while sitting on the porch, he watched a huge shadow move past the tree line. Thinking it was a bear, he grabbed his rifle and he hollered at it. But instead of running, the thing stopped and turned its head toward him, like it understood. It watched him for a while, and then it walked off into the forest on two legs. Grandpa swore up and down that it wasn't a bear and it wasn't a man. He said it came back sometimes, but as long as he left food out, it never caused any trouble. That's awesome. All these old Appalachian folk stories getting passed down, they're some of my favorite things ever. I grew up hearing them. If y'all have stories like this, I love them. Send them my way. The Hunter's Standoff. I was out hunting in Pike County. It was early morning, the kind of morning where the mist still clings to the trees, and the world just feels a little bit different. It's like that game my son plays, Silent Hills. I was deep in the woods, moving carefully with a rifle slung over my shoulder. Hunting is a way of life in these parts, and I've been out here plenty of times, but something, it just fell off that day. At first, I didn't notice it. The stillness. Normally, the woods are alive with sounds, birds calling to each other, squirrels rustling through the underbrush. But that morning, I don't remember hearing anything. It was like the forest was holding its breath. Like a predator was around. That's when I caught the scent. It was a foul scent. Like rotten meat mixed with something musty. The only time I've ever smelled something like this is when I worked for the coroner's office. It hit me out of nowhere. It was something wild. Thick and heavy in the cold morning air. I stopped in my tracks, and every instinct in me screamed that I wasn't alone. Then I saw it. About 50 yards ahead, partially obscured by the underbrush, stood something massive. Weren't no bear. No way. Thing was at least 8, maybe 9 feet tall. Broad shoulders, thick limbs, and it was covered in dark brown hair. It wasn't moving. It was just hiding. My breath caught in my throat. My hands shook and I lifted up the rifle. I wasn't going to shoot it. I needed to get a better look at it through my scope. But as soon as I brought up my rifle, the thing huffed, I guess. A deep guttural sound that I felt go through my body more than I heard it. And then it took a step forward toward me. My gut told me everything I needed to know. If I pulled that damn trigger, I knew somehow, if I did, I wouldn't be making it out of the woods. I wouldn't be alive. So instead, I didn't break eye contact. I didn't lower my gun, but I slowly started backing away, and my heart was beating out of my chest. I kept my rifle up, my finger was off the trigger, but it was ready just in case. And I never turned my back on that thing. We stood like this while backing up for what felt like forever. Then without warning, it turned. It just walked away. Disappeared as if it had never been there at all. I didn't stick around. I made my way back to the truck as fast as I could without running because I didn't want it to know I was afraid. Thought maybe it would attack. I haven't been back to that spot since. Some folks around here say that there are things in these woods that we aren't meant to see. I never believed them until now. Good Lord, that was awesome. Here is our very last story, and I love it. It is very short, so please, if you're about to click off, stay for another 45 seconds, because it's awesome. This person, they messaged me on Twitter. In our brief conversations, they kept calling me Bubba, and I asked if I could read their story with a country accent, and they said yes. So, enjoy. I was driving home late one night near the Red River Gorge when something fucking huge crossed the road ahead of me. At first I thought it was a deer, but it wasn't no damn deer. It's too tall. Its head nearly reached the lower branches. I slammed on my brakes, and for a split second, my headlights caught it. Some big motherfucker with dark hair and some of the longest arms I've ever fucking seen. Then it was gone. It vanished into the woods like a fucking magician. I don't know what I saw, but I'll never drive on that road at night again, and I will never drive on edibles ever again. Dear Lord, if you've stayed through this whole thing, I greatly appreciate you. You are not like this last person and you're zooming around Red River Gorge on edibles, because Lord knows that's not a safe place to drive anyway. If you all have any weird encounters that defy explanation, something that left you questioning what you thought you knew, I want to hear about it. Send in your stories. I love reading these. Next time I'm going to be telling your story. So until then, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the things that watch from the trees are only watching you. Thank you all. Bye.